All right, here's the question I know is on everybody's mind. Is the court going to take your birth control away? Is Clarence Thomas going to personally come to your house and submit you to conversion therapy? Is he going to put the little cone hat on and make you do the Handmaid's Tale thing? Everybody's asking these questions, or at least, all the hysterics are asking these questions because of Clarence Thomas's concurring opinion in the recent Dobbs decision. Justice Samuel Alito's leading opinion in this case had a slightly different line of argument in which he said that the decision in Dobbs overturning Roe did not endanger cases like Obergefell, which legalized same-sex marriage throughout the country. But Thomas said we actually should reconsider all of our what's called substantive due process rulings. This is rulings in which the court decides that the 14th Amendment does not only protect a procedural right to liberty, but an actual specific right that you have to this or that thing, namely, for instance, abortion, in the case of Obergefell, gay marriage, in the case of Griswold, for instance, contraception within marriage, right? And so basically this has been represented as Clarence Thomas's single-handed crusade to overturn the 20th century. All of the culture war victories that the left won during the 60s and 70s, are they all up for debate? And, I see people who, like me, find some of these decisions to have reached good conclusions. People who think that there should be gay marriage. People who think that people should be able to use contraception, right? People are saying, well, no, it'll never happen. The court will never revisit those Supreme Court decisions. And, I think that probably it's fairly unlikely that you're going to get more people than Thomas signing on to a wholesale review of all the cases that he mentioned. We shouldn't make our support for the conservative court dependent on their not touching any of those other rulings. And here's why. The rulings themselves, in many cases, Obergefell is a good example, even though I agree with the outcome, it is bad law. It's badly argued, it was badly decided. There's no right, just like there's no right to abortion in the Constitution, there's no right to gay marriage specifically. You might have a right to certain forms of contract. And if we say that the court is only good and just, the conservative movement is only good and just if it goes overturn Roe and no further, then I think we're being a little bit short-sighted. It's not impossible that the court would revisit some of those decisions. And if we're Americans, and if we believe in the truth, we have to have faith that the American people will make the right decisions about these issues when it is their right to elect representatives who make laws about them. Now, I'm not about to get on the Thomas train, and I don't think that the country is either. But I just want to reassure you that if, in fact, we return to some of these precedents, we shouldn't be afraid that by returning the questions to the voters where they belong, questions like gay marriage, allowing people to make localized decisions about these cases in small areas, if we return those questions to the American people so they can decide them in a granular way without waving their hands in these big, terrified Supreme Court culture war style riots, right? Then we might actually find that the country works the way it was supposed to. James Madison in Federalist 10 talked about this very principle, that the big country he envisioned would have lots of different pockets of people who had minority views on different issues. It's okay. That's what real diversity looks like. Never mind this quota listing crap. Never mind, how many people have how many skin color or how many sexualities, right? We are talking about a country in which people have genuinely different opinions about some of these questions. And it's not the end of the world if it turns out that as we move forward, into a world where, in fact, these laws and these Supreme Court decisions are up for debate, it's not the end of the world if the voters, the American public, are entrusted with the wisdom to make these decisions in a prudential way. This is the problem when we start to do these things via the court. If you live by the Supreme Court decision, you die by the Supreme Court decision. And in many ways, the freak out about Roe, of course, a lot of it's about abortion. A lot of it's about the shout your abortion crowd that is so committed to this as a sacrament of the feminist movement. But at an even deeper level, the real freak out is about realizing that all of those victories that the left supposedly won throughout the 60s and 70s were built on sand because they were built on disingenuous arguments. And once you acknowledge that possibility, Thomas, maybe speaking a bit hyperbolically, maybe speaking over the top, but Thomas is right that you actually do allow the principle that the sovereignty of America does not rest with the court. The sovereignty of America doesn't even rest with the president. The sovereignty of America doesn't rest even with our elected representatives who make laws in Congress. The sovereignty of America rests with the people, and it is their right to be represented by those lawmakers whom they will elect to do in their localities and ultimately in their federal government what they hope to see accomplished. It doesn't mean that any right can simply be stricken from the books. There are real natural rights that we have, were given by God. Government exists to protect those rights, the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But when the court says that, in fact, those rights don't unfold into all these magical penumbras that just give you what you want if you get the right sob story in front of the court, this court is saying that, in fact, we trust that we live in a country where the people, the fundamentally decent American people, can work out these questions in their local communities as they see fit. And for that, I say, God bless America. If you want to hear more about some of these deep federalist principles and the ideology behind that federalism I was talking about, check out episode 39. It's called The Long Road Home. It's about the fact that when you take your foot off of the neck of the American people and trust them to do what Madison said they would, which is make these negotiations and choose according to prudence how they're going to live their lives within their communities. It's not that everybody's perfect. It's not that men are angels. It's that their competing interests and the solutions that they arrive at together in community are going to be better than the abstract utopia you or some judge dreams up in his or her head. Check that out wherever you get your podcast at youngheretics.com or any other podcast venue. I would love to see you there.